What's up, ladies and gentlemen of the internet? This is Radical Edward for Less Than Epic, and today we're doing another Magic the Gathering deck tech. The topic today is Boros Goblins, standard Goblins. I've been a huge fan of Goblins, the Horde strategy really in particular, but Goblins are just a lot of fun. I've been a fan of them for a long time, ever since I started playing Magic the Gathering. It was my first deck when I was 14 years old, so when I saw that Goblins were coming back into Standard, of course I had to make some decks around it. In all, I think I have 3 decks, maybe 4 if I can really refine some strats, but the first one that I jumped into was Boros Goblins, and it's because I've seen a whole bunch of other strats pop up around the YouTube sphere, and I wanted to make my own kind of version of this, and that's kind of what I've done.
When it hits you, yes.
So today what we're going to be doing is going over each of the cards in the deck like a normal deck tech video, but then we're going to be playing through a constructed event, Magic the Gathering Arena, with the deck, and I'll be able to show you exactly how the strats play out that I describe when we go over each of the cards. But first, let's go over where I kind of found this strat and then kind of tweaked it over a lot of playtime in order to come up with my particular version of the deck. So here we go. Headed over here to some Boros Goblins. This was the first version of it that I saw. A YouTuber by the name of, what's his name? Yeah, Noxious. It's the first video I saw of his. I never really got into YouTubers of Magic the Gathering, though it's definitely been something that I've been getting into now that I've been into Magic the Gathering Arena and seeing a whole bunch of strats that people are coming up with. It's super helpful in making decks to see other strats that people are working through and then using those to make your own strats. So Nakamura is the person who made this deck. It's very, very similar. I think there's only like 1 card difference after my final version of this deck between Nakamura's and my version. This is just a very, very good strat. But then also what influenced this was MTG Goldfish did a video with their own kind of version of this deck. It's almost the exact same strat, though their early mid-game Wily Goblin and Goblin Warchief is a little bit different than Nakamura's version of it. So why don't we go ahead and, instead of looking at their versions, we'll hop in over here to Magic the Gathering Arena, and I'm going to go through my version of this deck, and I'm going to explain why exactly each of these goblins is in here. This won't take very long, and then we're going to get right into gameplay. So Boros Goblins, as I was saying, I built this deck IRL after I played about 100 games of it in Magic the Gathering Arena. I had about a 60% win rate after I got to this exact version of the deck. And if you just want the deck list, it's down below in the description. You can go ahead and just grab that and ignore the rest of this video. That's totally fine. But for the rest of us, we're going to go through each of these cards, and then we're going to play a constructed event, and we're going to see how the deck does just kind of live. So the first card we want to go over is Fanatical Firebrand. Let's do these both at the first time. Skirk Prospector and Fanatical Firebrand. They are both extremely good first turn plays. Fanatical Firebrand is just a free damage onto any particular target that you want the instant that you lay it down. And also, if you're going first, you can just lay down a mana and then lay down Fanatical Firebrand and just start to aggro your way into the enemy. This deck really wants to be going aggro as well as hoarding. It needs to do both of those things in order to win. And Fanatical Firebrand is basically the epitome of that. You have the ability to burn if you need to, which is a theme that you'll see in this deck. The crazy kind of just burn on the fly exactly when you need to do it. There's, I think, 3, maybe more creatures that just burn at particular times when you need it. Fanatical Firebrand, you can lay down on the first turn and do that. Or you can just swing with him if you want to. So that is kind of the first strat. And then Skirk Prospector, amazing card from Dominaria. you can just lay him down and have 1 mana. So this is how you build to your mid and late game. But the crazy thing about this card is it's not sacrifice self like Goblin Crater Maker is, which we'll get to him in a second. This guy is sacrifice a goblin, any goblin. In a token horde deck, like a goblin deck, sacrificing any goblin is ridiculous, because we have cards like Instigator in here, which is basically just your 2 mana 1/1s, which is your standard goblin strat. Skirk Prospector is an amazing combo with that, because you can go turn 1 Skirk Prospector, turn 2 Goblin Instigator, and then boom, you've got a bunch of mana. So Skirk Prospector, you have to run 4 of this guy. 3 of the Fanatical Firebrand. He's almost a filler, but the burn is amazing. But that's kind of like your early game. You want to be playing one of these guys turn 1 in this deck. It's not over if you don't play those, but you really do want to be playing one of these guys your first turn. And all right, let's move into the second turn cards. So our 2 mana cards, we've got Goblin Crater Maker, Goblin Instigator, and then your Lightning Strike and Response. Let's start with the creatures. Crater Maker is an amazing card because it's a 1 mana sacrifice to deal 2 damage, or destroy target, destroy target colorless non-land permanent. So the first effect is amazing enough with this card. You can sack him to just deal 2 damage whenever you want. It's an instant. So it's going to go onto the stack even if somebody tries to lightning strike you before or after this guy, or shock you, try to shock him into obscurity. You can do this effect in response to that. So effects like that are amazing because of how fast they are. You can do them in response to something. And the fact that you can do this in response to losing a creature to deal 2 damage, it's funny how many times people forget about that effect, which is a theme we'll see with the late game of this deck, but I'm getting ahead of myself there. So instant 2 damage to whatever you want, but not for nothing, he's also a 2/2 on turn 2 that you can just lay down. Like, it's a pretty good card. A lot of decks won't even have a turn 2 play sometimes. Like, they'll have some early game stuff, but like a lot of decks are built for late game, whereas this deck wants to be coming aggro hoarding early. And if you go, say, Fanatical Firebrand or Skirk Prospector into Goblin Crater Maker, it's really good. Same thing with Goblin Instigator. Amazing turn 2 play if you say Fanatical Firebrand into 2 of these guys. Like, you've instantly, in 2 turns, you have 3 permanents on the field. Very, very good early game for this deck. All right, let's move into Lightning Strike and Response. I think the curve that Nakamura had with this deck, the decks that I showed earlier, it was almost right. And I think that's why my version of this is really only 1 card different than his version. You have to protect your permanents. This is a horde deck. You think like, oh, you need to sacrifice your permanents, but this is not the Cranko mob boss version of a goblin deck. Like, permanents are very important with this Boros goblin deck. It's not as hoardy as you think. It's a horde deck for sure. I mean, there are times you're going to have 10 permanents out there, but that's actually rare. Really, you need to protect your permanents. And that is why we have the responses and the lightning strikes in this deck. It's not just to deal extra damage, though obviously the top deck lightning strike is amazing, and I have won games with that even in IRL standard tournaments with this deck. But these cards are in here to protect your permanents. So really, those cards that came before it, and particularly the cards that are going to come after it, which we'll get to, particularly these 2, you want to protect your permanents. And a lot of the ways you do that is by lightning striking and responding. So in other versions of Goblin decks that I have going, which again is about 3 to 4 of them, I have much more cards like this to protect your Goblins. But in this version of it, the Boros Goblin deck, there are other ways to protect your permanents. So we have these 4 cards to protect your permanents, or just deal damage when you need to. Oh, and the important thing to note here is these cards are instant. The Goblin deck really wants to be rolling by turn 4 to 5. If you're not rolling by turn 4 to 5, you're going to have a really hard time winning with this deck. So the fact that these are instant speed, super important with this deck. All right, let's move on to the mid part of the deck. That's really your turns. It could be turn 2, which I'll go over in a second how that happens, and we'll probably see it as we're playing. But your turn, say 2 to 5 is where you're going to be playing the rest of the cards in this deck. So the first one I want to go over is Radiant Destiny. And this is the main difference that I have from Nakamura's version of this deck. I run 4 Radiant Destinies. The 2 versions that I think I showed earlier, they had 3 Radiant Destinies. I've done a ton of playtesting of this deck, and the curve is much, much better if you can more reliably get Radiant Destiny out in more of the games. And usually if you can get a Radiant Destiny out and protect your early game, you are going to win that game. The aggro and Horde is way too strong for most decks to overcome, and that is why I run 4 of this. I mean, we're not running Goblin Trashmaster. We don't have many other ways for your creatures to get +1 or whatever. There's not a lot of buffs in this deck. Radiant Destiny is the only one. So I'm running 4 of them in my version of this deck, and I was somewhere between 40 and 55% win rate without 4 Radiant Destinies. With 4 Radiant Destinies, I've gone up somewhere between 55 and 65% win rate, and that includes IRL. And it's the one tweak that I think that this deck really needed. And the card that I swapped out for it, which we'll get to in a second, is, in all of my testing, the right call. So let's go through the rest of the mid to late game, and then I'll show you why I swapped out for more Radiant Destinies. So the next Goblin in this deck, Goblin Chain Whirler. I mean, this card is ridiculous. You could potentially play him on turn 2 with Skirk Prospector, and turn 2 first strike 3/3 that's also dealing damage. I mean, hell, I will sack a Skirk Prospector turn 2 into a Goblin Chain Whirler to kill like a Llanowar Elves or something. Like, not only are you killing something early game, but you're potentially killing something which is a build for the deck you're playing against. And with an aggro Horde deck, that is devastating. They will take the extra time to try and get rid of a card like this before they even try to go with their win con strategies. So you're not only breaking the curve of the deck you're playing against, but you're slowing down the rest of their curve because they're trying to get rid of a 3/3 first strike. Devastating for most decks you're playing against if you're playing this anywhere between turns 2 and 4. The next Goblin that we have to go over is Legion Warboss, and if you've been following Goblins at all in Standard, this guy is like the staple that we're building around. He is the epitome of aggro. He's creating Goblin tokens. He's mentoring, so he's beefing up Goblin tokens. He's the epitome of like a Goblin Horde deck. He has some issues depending on how you play him. And we might see that tonight, because like sometimes you don't want to play him, and I actually have versions of Standard Goblins where I do not play Legion Warboss, which is crazy, I know, in Standard Goblins, but his drawback is that the the goblin that he creates has to attack that turn. And the fact that it has to attack is actually a detriment in some situations. Again, it depends on the deck that you're playing against. But Legion Warboss, nonetheless, an amazing turn 2 to 4 play. You should be doing it, and we'll definitely, hopefully I'll get to show you how he plays really well against certain decks. But again, he becomes a target immediately. And that's really where you have to start to learn how to play a deck like this. You need to know which of your cards are going to be targets. And particularly you use Chain Whirler and Legion Warboss with each other, because you know that they're going to become targets. And actually, Volley Veteran and Siege Gang work this way as well, but we'll get to them. You need to know which of your cards are going to be targets, because you need to use certain targets as bait for removal cards, such as a counter or a black removal or a white lockdown or a blue lockdown. Just whatever deck you're playing against, you need to make that call on the fly so that you know which of these cards you need to bait out the removal cards for, and then you play the one that you know is going to give you the win con. And it's not always the same one. Sometimes you want to swing at their face hard, so you use Volley Veteran. Sometimes you need to hoard them, so you use Legion Warboss. Sometimes you need to win those 1v1s, so you use Goblin Chain Whirler. And then the other 3 of those cards you use as bait, so that they counter or remove that card, and then you play the other card, and hopefully they don't have another removal card. It doesn't always work, but again, you're playing the odds. This deck, 55 to 65% win rate, and that is because of how you play the deck. And hopefully, again, I'll get to show you right after this exactly how you go about playing a deck like this. So let's move into the late game. And late game for a deck like a Goblin Horde deck is turns, let's say, 4 to 7. If you have not won the game by turn 7 with a deck like this, there's a very good chance that you're not attacking and you're just ramping up goblins because of the particular deck you're playing against, or you're going to lose. That's just how it is with a deck like this. You need to be winning between turns 4 to 7, or you're going to lose. Let's start with Conclave Tribunal, though. Amazing card in a Horde deck because it has Convoke, and it removes any non-land permanent. Super important. You want to be removing large creatures, so in green, that includes any of the non-hexproof 10/10s, 12/12s, Gigantosaurus, what have you, just anything that's big. Any of their win cons you can be removing with this card, and should be removing, and you should be doing it fast and early, because again, your deck needs to be winning between turns 4 and 7 realistically, and Conclave Tribunal is one way that you can do that. They think they're laying down a win con that's going to block any of your goblins, and then you just go next turn, nope, here you go, Conclave Tribunal, and then you just keep swinging with your goblins. Alright, next up is Volley Veteran. I wanted to run 4 of this guy. In other versions of a standard goblin deck, I have 4 of this guy. Amazing, amazing card. You just drop him, kill whatever they think is stopping your horde, just like Conclave Tribunal, mind you, and just remove it from the equation. And then your goblins can just swing through. And that's the idea. You want to just be, every single turn, removing something of theirs, swinging with yours, using the response and lightning strike to stop them from killing you. So, I mean, even potentially, you're removing 2 things a turn. I mean, that's, you can't do that forever, obviously, because of your hand size, but 1 to 2 things a turn you want to be removing with a lightning strike or response, beefing up your goblins with your Radiant Destiny, removing whatever on their field with your Conclave Tribunal and your Volley Veterans, and then swinging through with your Chain Whirlers, Legion Warboss, and your horde of goblin tokens and burn. That is the strategy. You build into it, 4 to 7 turns, you win the game. And then in the edge case, you have Siege Gang Commander. This card is ridiculous. First off, it creates 4 permanents with 5 mana. Just drop 4 permanents, there you go. And that's late game. Top decking a Siege Gang Commander will save you games, hands down. And other versions of this deck, I've seen 5 of these things run. Because of my particular curve in this deck, I only run 3 of a Siege Gang Commander. This card is a game ender, hands down. Not only can it remove things because of its instant nature, but really how you want to be playing this card, and hopefully I get the chance to show that in this video, but if not, I'll describe it here. You want to be swinging with the goblins you plan to be sacrificing. So you're going to swing with goblins. When they get blocked, inevitably, you take the ones that are blocked because of the instant nature of this, sacrifice them to destroy the targets that you want to destroy. Sometimes it's okay to be trading out things like a Legion Warboss or a Chain Whirler if you're going to be using Siege Gang Commander to kill a big squishy. Or even, not for nothing, swinging with your 1/1s that get created with Siege Gang Commander, and then instantly turning around and sacking them to just drill them into the enemy's face. Because again, read this, 2 damage to any target. Amazing card. This is a game ender, hands down. If they don't remove it, you win the game. That's just what happens. And that's because you're going to be playing this between turns, realistically 4 to 6 latest. Top decking them can win you games, but you play this, if you play this on turn 5, just average, which is what happens, you pretty much win that game. You're not going to get it every game. Again, you're playing the game of statistics. 60% average win rate for this deck, I would say 55 to 65% depending on the day. But it's over 50%, and that's what's important. And I think that's because of just the general curve of this deck. It's built to win between turns 4 and 7, and it does it very consistently. Alright, and now moving into the mana portion of this deck, we have 22 lands. That might sound drastically low, and this was a hard-fought change to this deck. Nakamura did an amazing job, I think, building the mana curve of this deck. I think it worked really well, but again, from earlier, that the 4 Radiant Destinies I said was the one change that I made, and the card that I pulled out for it was a standard mountain. I found myself losing more games than I wanted to with a consistent deck by top decking too much mana instead of something like a Siege Gang Commander or a Volley Veteran or a Conclave Tribunal, which could give me that extra oomph in whatever scenario I was dealing with. Sometimes I would just top deck a mana. So because of that, I decided to beef up my early and mid game with a Radiant Destiny, which is hard to get rid of, by the way. There aren't a lot of enchantment removals. Sometimes you run into them, and it doesn't even necessarily mean you're going to lose the game. But this extra oomph in the early and mid game, along with the lesser chance of having the top deck mana when you don't want it, I think was the biggest revision that I could make to this deck, and make it what I think is the best version of this deck that it could be in standard. There are other versions of Goblin decks, but for the Boros Goblins in standard right now, I really like this combo that I've come up with. 14 Mountains, 4 Clifftop Retreat, 4 Sacred Foundries, and then the rest of the cards that I went over. I think it runs really good, and we'll see how that pans out. What I really want to do now is I'm going to do this constructed event, and we're just going to record the whole thing. I'm going to let anybody who wants to watch, just watch me go through this whole thing, and you'll see how the deck plays out. For everyone else who's taken off because we just went over the whole deck, thanks for watching, everybody. But now we're going to go over to the constructed event. All right, here we go. We are... So this is just a standard constructed event, non-competitive. We might take this into competitive at some point in the future, but I just wanted to give you some simplistic examples of how this deck plays. So let's join up on this event. We'll jump into our Boros Goblins, and here we go. We get 3 losses. Let's see how it plays. Get weeded 420. All right, buddy. Okay, so this is an okay hand. We don't have a lot of early game, but we have a lot of mana. So yeah, we'll keep this and we'll see how it plays, especially since we go first and we're on the draw. Maybe we play into some of that early game, and we don't quite know what we're facing yet, so it's kind of hard to say what's going to work. The Goblin Chain Whirler Legion War Boss, super strong. So since we can't play anything turn 1, obviously, enter tap Sacred Foundry. Don't worry about it. Just let them play their thing, and then we'll get into it. So while he's taking his turn, my plan is to just kind of explain things. I might take a little bit of extra time to play these games, but I just want to explain to you exactly why I'm making the decisions that I'm making as I'm playing through them. And hopefully it helps you if you end up making this deck, know how to play the deck a little bit better when you first get it. So, okay, so he doesn't play anything. And look, we drew into, because of the statistics, into that turn 2 play. So we're going to play that mountain, throw down our instigator. In turn 2, we've got our 2 permanents. Very important. Now, depending on how fast this guy plays, this could be devastating for him if he doesn't play a permanent this turn. Usually people will turn 2, so we'll see. Oh, very good play against a Horde deck. Let's see. Yep. So, we definitely want to be getting rid of this guy as soon as we can. I think what I want to do is I want to start hoarding him. So, I'm actually going to play... I'm going to play this guy, get permanents in his face, and build into Volley Veteran. So, I'm going to attack with everything, because he can only kill one thing. And, we're going to do some damage, start getting aggro in his face. He is going to kill this guy because it's not a token, but it doesn't really matter to us. And then boom. Alright. Ooh, he might be playing counter. So that's something to note. So we could play Volley Veteran this turn, but I'm actually going to hold off on that because we want to bait out the counters if he's going to have them. So we're going to wait on this, especially since he could be playing something bigger next turn, and then just continue with the Horde. He can't kill Legion War Boss unless he does -1/-1s, which would be unlucky. But you want to play hot and heavy Mom's Spaghetti into something like this. So we're going to go into this. We're going to make him kill... Oh. Okay, so that'll... that'll actually happen more times than you think against a Horde deck. People sometimes just give up. And that was probably what was about to happen with that guy. He was going to have to sack his creature there to kill, or not even kill one of my creatures that are 2/2, or just block a 1. And that is devastating early game for somebody. So that's kind of how you would want to play a game like this. But let's just jump into game 2 and we'll see how that one goes. Maybe the person will stay the whole time. It's a very popular avatar. Mind Tour. Alright. Okay, 2 mana. Not great, but tons of mana build in this hand. Opponents going first. I would not want to be going second with this hand, but we'll see how it goes. Depending on what they play, I'm either going to play Skirk Prospector or Fanatical Firebrand. If they play something that I can kill with Chain Whirler, definitely turn 1 go into the Skirk Prospector, especially since you have 2, sack it to kill their 1/1. Or 2/2. This could be rough for us because that's pretty aggro against a deck like this. So we want to be blocking what they are going to be doing. If this is a black zombie horde deck, you want to have these first strikers, which if they remove is just going to kill your deck. But we'll see what happens with this person's deck. Again, we don't really care about our life as much. We want to just be swinging hot and heavy at the enemy. And you know what? Because of what they laid down and because I don't care about my life as much, I think we're going to get more permanents out here and we are going to swing 3 damage at their face. We want a little bit of this is about bluffing. We want to make them think about, you know, the moves that they're doing. So we're going to do it this way. And we're going to see what the Horde does against them. Especially since they didn't play anything turn 2. So, alright, not a bad play. But again, not something we can't overcome. So this is a little bit rough. We have not gotten one of our 8 white mana cards in this deck. A little bit rough, but we're going to make them think about attacking us. Because we're going to lay this guy down, and then we're going to sack a Firebrand to deal damage, and then we're going to swing for 2 more. So the reason we do that is we want to make them... Again, it's about bluffing. We don't want... Ooh, maybe we might want to get rid of their permanent and just go super aggro. We want to get inside their head a little bit. I mean, that's part of playing Goblins. Take advantage of the extra burn that we had, kill their permanent. Now we have 2 permanents. They have 0. They're going to be on the back foot, especially if we pull out a white mana. This is going to be good for us. Yep, he's definitely on the back foot. He's trying to play something that's going to allow him to survive. No white mana, but we've got the Horde on our side, so we're going to use that to our advantage. He's hovering over his 1 mana. He might have something, but I want to keep him on the back foot, I think, with this. We're okay losing our permanents. We're going to get more of them next turn with Legion Warboss, so long as it's not removed. If we get a white mana, we've got Radiant Destiny for that, which will be devastating against the 1/1 that he's going to get from this, and then possibly whatever he plays next turn. So we'll see. We're going to go hot and heavy Mom's Spaghetti. Yeah, that's what I figured he might do. Which even with the 1 mana, yeah, he's just going to do that, take 2 damage. Ooh, he might get that. Yeah.
Hey, you know what? Let me hit that.
Alright.
Really?
That's not a bad answer. But if we get that white mana, he won't be able to block this. Very expensive, so that's all he can play. Ooh, you know what else a top deck would be nice? Not that. It's not precisely what I wanted, but it is what it is. So we want to keep swinging hot and heavy Mom Spaghetti. We've got the permanence to live through it. He's got no mana. He's going to have to trade out for this. Actually, I'm not going to swing that. This will only do 2 damage to him. Actually, I take that back. We need to be playing this a little bit smarter, I think. We need Radiant Destiny. We need that white mana. But he'll lose a permanent, we'll get 2 damage. Let's do it. Let's do it. We've got enough cards in this deck that can help out this situation. We're going to take the 2 damage. He's going to kill the other Skirk Prospector. That's fine. We want to keep him... Like, look at this horde against him. Six creatures. It's pretty rough. That's pretty rough. Holy shit. That was not bad at all. If we don't win this turn, we can survive this turn. He thinks he's going to survive, but what we're going to do is we're going to swing all out. We're going to use the Fanatical Firebrand to hopefully take out this guy, although, man, that's going to be rough. We might not have what it takes to survive this. What I want him to do is block the Chain Whirler and take less damage and kill my Chain Whirler. Because then I'm going to be able to play the Firebrand, kill this guy, and only take 3 damage next turn, and then leave him. He's going to be very damaged after this. Okay. He's not going to block the War Boss. He's going to block the Chain Whirler. Yes. That's what we wanted. Okay. Now... See, this is that funny burn exactly when you need it. Boom. Take out a flyer. He did not expect that. This could be rough for him if he doesn't have something else to permanent his field with very heavily. Like a 6/6 flyer would be pretty rough for us right now. That's not a bad play either. But he might not swing this turn, which would be very good for us. And then if we draw that white mana, this next turn is going to be very rough for him. Oh, he did swing. Damn. That's rough. Can we win this? Can I do 10 damage? 2, 4, 6. He's going to take out the Legion War Boss. So let's say 2, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Unfortunately, I think this game is the opponent's. I mean, this is how this deck plays. It just... Those 2, 3, 4 flyers early enough for him to stop the aggro turns 4 to 7 of this deck. That's just, you'll lose those games every time. So, there it is. He wins this game. The white mana would have stopped it. We would have won this game if we got the white mana. But it is what it is. Can't win them all. Here you go, buddy. Very close game. Very close game. Let's move on to the next. Hopefully we get a little better luck this time with the white mana. I mean, with eight of a particular mana source, you're going to get at least 1 in a deck. And that's really all you need in the Boros Goblins deck. That was a very unlucky play, and actually unusual type of play for the deck. Again, having played over 100 games with the deck so far. Very, very unlucky game for the deck. So let's keep rolling with it, and we'll see what we get. Hello, Isayo. Oh, I played this guy before. You see that a lot, recurring players. Ooh, that is an unlucky hand right there. You need 2 mana. Yeah, we're gonna mulligan this. Okay. Much better. Much better. And we got our 3rd mana right here. And a response, so And we're playing first, so this isn't terrible. We're going to play the Instigator. Turn 3, have the response. Oof. I've seen these decks. These could be rough for us, depending on how he plays it. How lucky he gets. This starter deck modded up does really good against Boros Goblins because it's so aggro and then it's burn heavy. It's pretty rough. Hopefully we don't face a lot of these guys in this tournament. Oh yeah, this could be rough. Although, we may have just got a little bit of a lucky break with this guy turn 3. Because he cannot stop this. We're going to kill his steam engine, which a deck like his needs. We're going to force him to sack his guy, which he is not going to do. Not bad. Okay, there's a few ways that we could play this. The way that I want to play it is I want to play... We don't want to use this. This is just devastating for a deck like this late game, especially if he runs any blue and runs the 4X creatures with instants and sorceries in graveyard, and he needs Gutter Snipe. He's going to be using a burn deck here. So we want to slow him down and maintain our horde while he can do absolutely nothing about it. So we're going to get rid of that, and then we're only going to swing with this. Yeah, only that. I'm going to play a little bit conservative here because we got Siege Gang coming up later. And even the double turn of Resurgence is amazing. Yeah. Oof. That is unlucky. There are only 3 of this card in the deck, and we are only 10 cards in and have 2 of them. That's pretty rough. We really did not want that to happen. So... okay. I'm going to go into combat. I'm going to swing with this. He wants to take out the Volley Veteran. I might actually use the Response Resurgence to kill his guy now. That could fuck us later, though. But we do have the Siege Gangs. We have the 2 Siege Gangs, so if we draw into mana, this could be pretty devastating for him. And then let's force, since we want to use that, we're going to force him to block all. Okay. I know he's going to probably block 1/1 and then Volley Veteran. Ooh. Or he's going to do that. Not much I can do about that. Yeah, the burn is pretty devastating for this deck. Oh, man. That is really rough. Lots of burn. So he's going to double block now. We're going to lose one of our field. He's going to lose one of his. We've got to use the response. That is... oh, he's not. Okay. We might save it then. That is rough, though. That is really rough that he had both of those burn cards in his hand. Just enough to take out our field. Yeah, he's a little bit worried now. Force him to worry a little bit more. We're going to play this and not attack. We're just going to build. Because he devastated us with those burn cards. So, remember that situation earlier where I said that Siege Gang Commander can sacrifice as they're attacking? This is a great scenario for that. We're going to play this guy. Ooh, we even got the City's Blessing with that. They have Vigilance. We are going to attack. Oh, I kind of want to wait because of the double turn, but we need to clear his field because he has burn. That is rough for us. We're going to force him to do a lot here. This is 10 damage coming at him. So there's 1 block, 2 block. We might just let that go. I mean, that's... We want that. We can do that for a double attack next turn if we want. Or, instead of killing this guy, which we really don't care about that much, we can kill this guy, which we really do care about. So, what we're going to do... So, target creature, we're going to target this guy. Sack this goblin, which is going to die. So instead of killing this, we're going to kill this, which is super important against a deck like this. Submit that. Trade the block out to a different target. He has 1 permanent. We've got a lot. So that was a better trade for us. Now, depending on the player we're playing against, he's either going to give up on this turn, or he's going to try to play against it. Oh. Interesting. Huh. I have a hard time saying how I want to play this. That is 5 mana. That guy has burn in his hand. So what do we have? 4, 5. We cannot triple burn him for 6 damage. Okay. What we want to do is swing with all and then use 4 mana to do 4 damage to him, and hopefully 2 damage gets through. Because we can use this on the fly. And there you go. Yep, he kind of saw it too. So that, again, Siege Gang Commander. So many fucking options you have with this guy. Like, it will win you games all the time. So that was a pretty standard win, I would say. Like, you're trading some back and forth. You're outplaying the strategy that they want to do. Again, that trade between like the 2-2 versus the 1-1, he wanted that 1-1. That 1-1 can, I mean, the way that like Turbo Fog plays is he takes a lot of turns. That Runaway Steam Engine kind of gives decks like that guy was playing that kind of like double turn that they take. Because they spend all this mana on cheap spells, and then they use the Runaway Steam Engine, and then they spend more mana on cheap spells, and it just devastates you if it gets going. Runaway Steam Engine. But you outplay that. I think we killed 2 of the Runaway Steam Engines that turn, or that game, countered his strategy. And that's the way that you have to play the Goblin Horde deck. So you have to know what trade to make at what time. And Siege Gang Commander allows you to make precisely the trade that you want to be making. And you just saw the effect of it. So I'm going to take a quick break, and we'll be right back into the next game. All right, here we go. We've got 2 wins, 1 loss under our belt so far tonight. Let's jump into game 3. See if we can't get ourselves another win. A lot of creative strategies going on Arena. Some nights I have good luck, some nights I have bad luck. We'll see what Gillalore has for us. Oh, perfect, man. You've got early game. I would want some more creatures, but having the Radiant Destiny and the white mana in the opening hand, plus the late game Siege Gang Commander, great hand. Great hand. We'll see how it plays. So we can't play anything. Oh, and well, this is the one that doesn't have to enter tap. Whatever. There we go. Okay. So, we want to spend our curve early in a situation like this. This is unfortunate. This would have been great first hand and then draw into like a mana instead. But we want to spend as much mana as we can early to get those resources out there. Plus draw out any of the field wipes that they have if they really want to get rid of something. Which this guy's hovering over, he may do that. Oh, I'm facing the same frickin' deck. Okay, so Runaway Steam Engine is a no-go for this deck. We need to get rid of that this turn while we can. Because this thing allows him to play, just like we saw last game, or didn't get to see because we destroyed it early enough, a lot of early spells that just allow him to spend all of his cards in like 3 turns. 2 or 3 turns. So he's not going to trade this out. I guarantee you that. He thinks he's safe, but the truth is he's not safe because his Runaway Steam Engine is dying this turn. We are not going to allow that to exist. There you go. Do not want that on the field. Okay, and next turn, depending on what he plays, we've got Radiant Destiny. Oof, that is pretty rough, not gonna lie. That is gonna be pretty rough for this deck early on. I mean, we've got the response, but it forces us to have to play very differently against this deck. In a way that we really don't want to be doing. Because now, he's going to block or attack next turn, and we're going to do the response and resurgence and kill it, but it's slower because we don't get to play the Radiant Destiny. So that, slowing down the curve of this deck like that is pretty rough. And if he's a smart player, he's just going to take the damage. Because untapped mana, open hand with 3 cards, like you don't block. Yeah, see, he's a smart player. We could be in for a rough game here because of what's going on. Oh, that aggro, man. That is rough. I don't even know what to do. I know I want to kill that Chain Whirler. Yeah, there you go. Whew. Yeah. Yeah. I don't know what to do against this. Why wouldn't he just trade out for the Crater Maker? Maybe that's not bad. Maybe that slows him down enough, depending on what we draw. But he'll get it in his upkeep, right? At the beginning of upkeep, sacrifice this creature, turn the graveyard to the battlefield. It gains haste until the end of turn. So he is going to be swinging at us next turn, regardless of what we do this turn. So maybe we want to make him think about that. Maybe we want to make him think about swinging. Because next turn, we're going to be laying this down and have a lot of damage. And if he swung with that and didn't lay a whole lot down this turn, which he's got the mana to do it, so this could be rough for us. Oof. Yeah, that's not good. Okay. That might not actually be a bad deal for us. Yeah, especially... Oh, that is not a bad draw. Okay. Okay. So. We're going to lay this down. We are going to do a lot of damage this turn. So we've got the 2 open mana. We've got a lot to play with because we got the Siege Gang and the Lightning Strike. So we might even save this for... Okay, let's just do this. We want to attack. We want to all attack. We want to hoard his face with this damage because he wasn't expecting it, and that is a lot. What's this? 6, 7, 8, 9 damage? Yeah, that hurt. That hurt a little bit. He's going to think about attacking this turn. You may look at the top card of your library at any time you play that card. Okay. Okay, we want him to attack. And if he doesn't attack next turn... Okay, this is rough. He better have a fucking burn. Because we can do some fucking damage to him this turn. Oh, dude. Oh, whoops, sorry. Oh, he's not gonna attack. Okay, Okay. I'm going to spend this mana now and kill his creature. You better have some fucking burn, dude. Because this is going to be rough. Yep. You better have some fucking burn. Okay, target creature player, goblin, submit. And there you go, man. Siege Gang Commander every fucking time. Just so versatile, this card, because of the instant nature of it. You can do damage with the creature and then also fucking sack it to do 2 more damage. Like, devastating. I mean, he had a good field to overcome what we were doing, but because we had that Siege Gang Commander and he had spent his burn earlier on things he thought were a priority, key. That you'll win games with this deck like that all the freaking time. All right, we're moving on. We're 3-1 so far. Not so bad, though. As you move through the ranks of this, you're going to face harder and harder decks, and it could become increasingly difficult. Around this game, you start facing some pretty tough decks, so we'll see what we get, and we could also get lucky, so yeah, we'll see. We'll see. Ash, 2 mana, early game, mid game, this is not bad. Not bad at all. I forgot what it said. I think we're going first. Yeah. Okay. So I don't know what the right call here is exactly, but I know I'm gonna want this mana. Give him a nice hello. Hey, buddy. So if we draw into one of our 8/3 cost, which we didn't, which is too bad. Hard call to... No, not a hard call to make, and here's why. We're going to play this, and we're going to keep the 1 mana open, because next turn, so far as we know, this is our play, and we want to be able to sacrifice him with the 1 mana that his effect costs, which we'll have next turn, and not this turn. Without sacking a permanent, of course, with Skirk Prospector. We want that 1 mana open. So, we're gonna come out aggro this game. Make him think about things a little bit. That's a good play. That's a really good card. Fucking Merfolk deck. We do not need this deck building at all. So, what we're gonna do, let's go like this. Fuck it. I'm going for it because a Merfolk deck that builds is devastating to deal with, and we want to just be coming at him with our horde as fast as we can right now. We've got the response, we've got the volley veteran, so we've got 2 removals, we've got the mana to play all of it. It's okay, we could stay ahead of this curve. So he's expecting... That's a really good card, though. We only have 2 cards in this deck that removes that. Oh, this is great for us. This is great. Okay. So it's great because Legion Warboss does not have haste. I've got other versions of standard Goblin decks that run... Oh, I forget the guy's name, but he gives creatures or your goblins haste. And that means Legion Warboss could swing and mentor on his first turn. But this turn, we're just going to be doing 3 damage, and then next turn have removals when we need it. But This turn, he's going to be playing and getting at least 2 creatures. Because merfolks are almost like horde decks, but it's just every turn they're playing something that gets them more merfolks. And it's fucking rough if you don't deal with it. Very, very strong decks right now. Yeah. See, this is good. And I bet you he plays another creature and has 4 fucking permanents this turn. Fucking savage. Yep, fucking called it. This is rough right here. This is something we might not be able to deal with. Very, very good play. Okay. So what I think I'm going to do this turn is force him to not be able to kill my Legion War Boss and allow the Legion War Boss to mentor another creature. We can't let him build. Like, we can't, against a deck like this, we can't sit back. We have to be killing. We're going to kill that guy. So now, he's only got 1/1s. So that's what we wanted. So this turn, so he has to attack. Him attacking, we'll get a 2/2. Are we willing to sack 1? Oh! He did not. He probably had a mana in his hand, and this was going to be really rough for him. See, we were playing it right against him, removing his permanents. Specifically, the ones that we removed were the +1/+1s twice, and he needed that to get his horde working. And we kind of dismantled that, and it kind of, I don't know. A lot of players give up, I think, too easily in this game. I think it's kind of the folly of trying to build decks in MTG Arena. One of the issues with this, but you can kind of see the thought process of the person. They destroyed exactly what I was trying to do. I don't have anything to counter what they're doing, and I'm expecting more from him, which he should because I had the Legion War Boss. So yeah, that was going to be rough for that person. So we aren't actually doing too bad. Usually I'll have like 2 losses by this point. Usually it's around like 3-2, 4-2, 4-3. I mean, this, like I said, this deck runs 55 to 65% most days. And it looks like it's going to do that today. And you can kind of see why. It's like you make the right trades at the right time, you forego other strategies because you're countering what your opponent is doing, and you're hoarding in a way that's gonna get those pings in when you need them, and leave your enemy like kind of on the back foot at all times, if you can help it. So I'm gonna take another really quick break right here, and we will be right back. All right, and we are back. We are at 4-1. Just a reminder, you can see here, we're doing a constructed event, and we're testing out my version of Boros Goblins. Let's continue on. We're about to start facing some of the harder decks. Games 5 and 6 are always very rough for me. I don't win a whole lot of them, no matter what deck that I play. Not sure that Boros Goblins is a tier 1 deck. It has the potential to be, depending on how you run it and how lucky you get. But we'll see how we do games 5 and 6. But overall, I'm pretty happy. If we lose the next 2 games in a row, we're going to be looking at a 4-3. Very, very good record, I would say. I mean, if you have a deck that's winning more than 50% of your games, especially if you're approaching 60%, it's very good. So I'm happy with the performance so far, but we'll see how we do. Well, if we get into game 6, I'll be stoked. It'll be really good. Alrighty. Let's see what you've got for us, Arena. Bango Shank, huh? Alright, buddy. Mana build into mid game. Hopefully we draw into late game. There's plenty of late game cards in this deck. great starting hand, I think. Like, if you draw, you have the mana, you've got all your mid game, like, go for it. Ooh. That's not bad. Playing against early game can be rough for the Goblins because of the trade outs. Again, you want to protect your permanents. Like, them being able to play that turn 1 is actually a big deal. Because now we have to consider if we want to trade out. Or they're just going to swing, because why not? I mean, I might too. Ooh, we might take the chance. We might take this chance. Okay. We haven't seen this play yet, but I had talked about it earlier, kind of killing the Llanowar elves, that turn 2 if you can, sack out the Skirk Prospector. I was describing that as we went through the cards in the deck. This is one of those scenarios. They got out the card that they want. This card can't be blocked. So that is it's one of their win cons. So we're going to remove that from them now. We're going to sack our guy, pull in our Chain Whirler, and provided that he does not counter it, this is going to be good for us. We're going to curve back. So we did the damage they did, removed a permanent. Ooh. Oh, not bad. That was a good play. And now, wow. That was a fucking nice play. Like this, again, getting into these turns, that is fucking strong. We could trade out our Chain Whirler, because he'll block it. If he's smart, he won't block it. Here. He might block it. Yeah. He's not gonna block it. I didn't think he would block it. Well, shit. Okay, what do we want to play? Let's play into a War Boss, make him think about attacking with that Jhin. I wanted him to block and trade the Chain Whirler because it gives us the chance. We can't play the Volley Veteran because we don't have this guy down. Maybe that would have been a better play, I don't know. Okay. I have an idea. We need to be able to play the Chain Whirler. So what we need to hope happens is we're going to enter combat. I'm going to attack with just these two. I want him to block and kill both. And then we're going to trade into the Chain Whirler and kill both of his creatures. This is a very, very, like, 200 IQ play. This is how this deck plays. Oh, shit! I say that and then I look like a fool because he has the fucking tools, man. This guy has got it figured out. See, those games 4, 5, and 6, super fucking strong. Like, I don't know how we're gonna curve back from this. This could be the beginning of the end for us. Although, we could Firebrand into Lightning Strike, kill the Jhin, and then hope for the best in the trade war. We've got to get rid of the Jhin. Let's do it. I hope he doesn't have a fucking counter, man. If he does, this is gonna suck. Hold your breath. Oh. He's got the trades, man. This is what a losing game looks like. It's like they're gonna trade out better than you, and they're gonna have just the tools they need to overcome your aggro at just the right time. And he had precisely what he needed for 3 turns in a row now. to stop the aggro of this deck. This is just a losing game, honestly. Like, you're not gonna win this game. Like, this is rough. We can't even kill the Jhin. Like, I don't even know what you'd do. We have to kill the Jhin this turn. We can't kill the Jhin this turn. So I think we are done. I think that's it. Yep. This is a losing game. So I mean, there you get to see what it looks like. Like, you got to get those trades when you can get them. If you're lucky enough, you'll get them. But sometimes you don't get them. Sometimes the enemy wins, right? And that's it. There you go. Good game, buddy. Here, we'll let him attack for the victory. It was a good game. Not bad. Good job. But there you go. You get to see what kind of a bad curve in a deck like this looks like when the enemy has what they need to stop your horde. That's what's going to happen. And so you need to kind of look out for it. After 20 or 30 games with a deck like this, you'll start to see those patterns. You'll start to expect them. I think the one thing I could have done differently in that game is respect the fact that he had open mana and just kind of take the damage as I built the Goblin Horde. Maybe that could have allowed me to come back with a better top deck. And because I'd have the permanents, maybe then I'd be able to play the... I'm blinking on the names right now because it's getting late. The Volley Veteran. So if I had saved my Goblins for 2 turns and then played this guy, I could have gotten rid of the Jhin and then had a lot of permanents. But by that time, he would have had a lot of counters. He would have been able to counter the Volley Veteran anyway. It's hard to say how far I could have gotten with a strat like that. Sometimes you just lose the game. That's the play on statistics here. It's like you're not always going to win your games. That's what it is. All right, Night Critter. Don't be my last game. Let's hit that like 60% win rate tonight. Not a bad opening hand. Double early game and removal, plus into the Chain Whirler, plus we're going first. Yep. We've got the white mana. We've got 4 mana. This could be a good game. Like, we'll see how it turns out, but it could be a good game here. The lifelink is totally okay that you're playing against. You need to expect that your enemy's going to have a strategy like that to get over what you're doing, just so long as they don't get as much of their strategy as you get your strategy early game, like, you're going to do better. And we were on the play here, remember that. So we're going to kill that guy with Chain Whirler next turn, remove that life. We'll see what he plays. Alright. I'll play another 1-drop. That would be fucking awesome. That kind of sucks. But we're going to trade out into this. And then next turn, come into the War Boss. Or the Lightning Strike if we really, really need it. But Chain Whirler or move their permanent into the War Boss. Like, we've got options here. This is not bad. Okay. I don't know what to expect. That was not an expected play. He does not have... Okay, so white has some interesting removals right now that work really, really well against a Goblin Horde deck. And one of those strategies is to remove any attacking creature. It's a 4 mana cost white card. I'm blanking on the names right now, people. I'm sorry. But they can't play it this turn. So we're gonna get some damage this turn, but he's got some stuff to play. You see him? Yeah. I'm glad I went to combat first. Make him put that onto the stack. Yep, there you go. That's not a bad play. But we're gonna get 5 damage this turn regardless. We need to have that aggro. We need to keep him thinking about his plays. You can't stop that, dude. You waited too long. You had the priority. I waited for you. Okay, we want this damage. We need this damage. We need to keep him on the back foot. Again, a horde deck. We've got 3 permanents. He's got 0. He's going to play something this turn to counter us. Hopefully, we are allowed to get another 5 damage in next turn, depending on what they play. Interesting play. Okay. Oof. Okay. I am... This is a hard one to say how to play right. He's got combos that he wants to do next turn with what he's got in his hand. He's trying to survive. He's trying to trade out with my goblins. If I swing, he's probably going to block these 2, take the 3 damage. Or no, you know what he's going to do? He's going to block this here. Block... He probably won't even block the 2 damage. He won't even block the 2 damage. So... This is a pivotal turn for a deck like this. Okay. First off, this is not a bad trade, so I'm just going to make the trade. He's got nothing that he can use to counter this. He's going to lose that trade. It's not bad for us. We're going to swing with these. We're going to force him to bring that guy out here, and then we're going to play the Siege Gang, because next turn that's going to be devastating to him. He'll have a 1/1 lifelink, and then whenever he plays and the Siege Gang, it's going to force him to either play that. What are you doing, buddy? It's going to force him to either play that or burn the Siege Gang. Okay, attack. It's a little bit of luck of the draw here, because he's going to block... Oh, I was not expecting that. I was not expecting him to take that damage. That's a great fucking trade for us. I mean, it sucks losing a permanent, but we're about to get a bunch of them back. Interesting. I mean, there you go. People make interesting plays. So that could have something to do with what he has in his hand. He could have something like an Ajani, or I don't know. But this is a closer game than it might look on the surface. Very close game. Especially since he's got 3 cards. Glad that was a mana. Well, maybe. Depends on what he plays. Yeah, that is not a bad play. That is not a bad play at all. So he's going to gain some life. That is okay. But we're going to trade out for a goblin. Yeah. So we're going to block here. He might even give it +1/+1 and gain 5 life. Yeah. Okay, he's just going to trade out. This turn, we have to lightning strike that. I mean, we don't want that block. He can't do shit to this though. There's nothing that he has that is gonna realistically help this. Okay, target creature, goblin. There you go. We don't want him blocking at all because we know what he wants to block. Are you gonna make us sack another goblin? Yeah, yes he is. Alright, that's not bad. I mean, you play with what you work with. There you go. I mean, it is what it is. This puts him on the top deck. Like, we have a great field compared to his, especially with how many goblins we have in this deck. And we could top deck another siege game. This is good news for us right here. Like, okay, oh, interesting. He could technically, oh man. Okay. This is a gamble. This is a gamble. But if he top decks a land next turn, which the odds are in our favor that he does that, we win the game. But if he doesn't top deck a land, this could fuck us royally. Because basically what we want this turn is the 5 damage. So he needs to now top deck a really, really fucking pivotal card to fucking stay in this game. Oh no! Oh no! Oh! We just take the there you go. There you go. So it wasn't what he needed. So we took the gamble, we kept his stuff off the field, and we won. There you go. We are doing pretty fucking good. 5-2 with Boros Goblins here, live on camera. Like, this is how this deck plays. Like, you need to know how to play against the particular strategy that you're playing against. A lot of experience in Standard really helps that, because, like, knowing what you're playing against tells you how to play against it. That last game, I guarantee you that guy has the attacking creatures, exile all attacking creatures card for 4 mana. It devastates the Boros Goblins deck. Or really any Horde deck, it's going to devastate it. So in these constructed events, I've never actually played into Game 6. I've never won Game 6. Usually by this point, I'm at 2 losses and going into Game 6, and, you know, usually I lose it. So, I mean, we'll see what happens today. I will not be unhappy with this deck's performance today if I lose this next game. Totally fine at this point. Like, it's played like it should play. Like, fairly consistent, and I think you've seen that tonight. I'm sitting here silent because I'm not sure how I feel about this hand. If we draw into a white mana, this could be devastating for them. Like, 2 Radiant Destinies is fucking crazy. And that's really not something we've gotten the chance to see tonight. It's just how Radiant Destiny plays. Like, you will win a lot of games on the back of Radiant Destiny. It's too bad I haven't been able to show that yet. Like, 2 Radiant Destinies will win you games. Hands down. And we got the white mana. We got the white mana. What we're gonna do is we're gonna play this. Next turn we're gonna play this 1 Radiant Destiny, then 2 Radiant Destinies, then hopefully a Siege Gang Commander. I mean, that is crazy devastating. But this is not hopeful. Fuck! This is a great counter for a Goblin Horde deck. I have no great answer to green aggro. I think I was saying that earlier. Any kind of green build aggro is a great counter to a deck like this. We might be able to kill it. We might be able to kill it. If we can, we're gonna pay the 2 life. We're gonna, can't play the Volley Veteran yet. But this has... We're going to let him hit us pretty hard this turn. And then next... this might stop him from swinging. I mean, it depends what's in his hand. I mean, sometimes you get unlucky with the mono green build. Maybe you only get one of your large creatures. But if he's going to just, for the next 3 turns, throw down the large creatures, like, this could be the end of the god. Oh, yeah. Holy fuck. That is pretty rough. Pretty rough right there. Yep. You're going to swing. I can't even... I think I can't block. Yeah, I can't even block. Like, there you go. That is a great fucking counter for what I got going over here. We will be lucky to pull back from this. I mean, no doubt we want to be Yeah, we want to be rolling another Radiant Destiny. We need to be surviving next turn, and then we need to be drawing into a mana to survive this, because we ain't surviving this. Can we survive? 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Okay. So what I'm going with right now is staying at... He's not going to trade out the Goreclaw unless he's got a 4/4. And if he does, then fine. Like, that's great for us. But I guarantee he's not going to do it. So 6, 11, 12 damage is the max he can do next turn unless he has a haste or something else that does damage. He's all tapped out. We're going to take a bet so that we can stay on this curve. And if we draw a mana and then Volley Veteran and then maybe even he trades out for the Goreclaw here, which would be really fucking lucky, like, that'd be a great game for us. No, he's just going to take it. He's going to do the 12 damage, and then we're going to be in a tough, tough spot. We have to draw mana next turn. Yep. Okay, he's not going to attack with Druid, which I was expecting him to, but he's saving that for the block. Oh! Fuck. This game is just about over. I don't think there's any way we can survive this game. Trying to do math here. I don't think there's any way we get like more than 2 blockers, because we can do this, tap, remove that with Conclave Tribunal, so I would get rid of that. But then they could swing with all next turn, and I could block this and this, which I would lose out in that exchange for. And then they'd still have 2 damage if they swung with this. If I put this down, I would have... I've got to get rid of that. I mean, yeah, it's pretty much done at this point. Like, oh, hey. Okay. Well, that's that. Like, yeah, that is what mono green aggro will do to a goblin aggro deck. Like, you're not gonna overcome something that goes like every single turn like that. It's just dropping their green mana build into aggro. It is what it is. Like, but that is let's claim our prize here. 5 and 3, not bad. Like, I'll take it, man. Ooh, great card here. Yep, that's a good card, and that is not fucking bad at all. All right. Well, there you go. We'll claim that. Swap over to face cam here. Alright, so we just went through a whole constructed event. We went 5-3. Good percentage win rate here with the Boros Goblins deck. It played pretty much exactly like I described it should play, and it does that fairly consistently. And let me actually swap back. I want to show you this deck, because I think we saw in that last game kind of why I made that swap into the Radiant Destinies. This card did not play as much of a role tonight as it normally does, but I mean, that's the luck of the draw. Having these 4 Radiant Destinies is crucial for this deck. That even just the most games getting that +1/+1, which it does more often than we saw tonight. But I mean, it is what it is. I mean, even without this, we went 5-3 tonight. Very, very good record. Like, for any deck, like if you're playing the game of statistics, like you want to be running between a 55 and a 65% win rate for a really good deck. Much higher than that for a tier 1 deck, obviously. And Boros Goblins may be a tier 2 deck. I really don't know exactly. I think I need a little bit more experience with tier 1 decks in order to make that judgment. But overall, I think it performed really well tonight. And I was really happy to see how it ran. But like I was saying, the Radiant Destinies are very key. And swapping down to the 22 land, we really did not have any mana problems tonight out of 8 games. So that's a very, very consistent mana strategy for this deck, and we only ran 22 lands. So I mean, that to me is why I swapped out one of the lands for one of the Radiant Destinies from that other deck that we were viewing earlier today. I think that it is the right swap. I think it runs really, really good with that swap, and unfortunately we weren't able to see it tonight, but having that extra Radiant Destiny actually does win you a lot of games. That +1/+1 in a Horde deck is devastating, and it can't be understated just how good it is. And yeah, that is, hopefully I've given this deck a good overview. If you do end up running this deck, let me know how it runs for you down below. If you have any suggestions on how it should run, I'd be more than happy to have a conversation about it and try and improve this deck. I do have some other Goblin decks that I might be doing, though. Here, let me swap back over here. Here, hello. I've got some other Goblin decks that I am working towards. I've got one with 4 Goblin Trash Masters and 4 Radiant Destinies. It's a really, really different type of Goblin deck. I almost want to call it like not a Horde deck, which is weird for Goblins. But nonetheless, I mean, card effects can give you that kind of strategy. But tonight we've seen the Boros Goblins. Plays really well, really good win percentage. It does really well in a constructed tournament type of standpoint, and it's really not that expensive to put together. I think I had the price over here. Okay, so this is Nakamura's version of it, which again has that one key difference, but I mean, with the prices, it's going to cost you somewhere around $160 to make this deck. Really not that bad if you're hoping to play competitively. I mean, some tier 1 decks are going to run you $800 to $1,200 just to run those decks for something that can, on some days, do really well in any kind of standard tournament or standard scenario. Like, not bad at all. It runs really well. And hopefully I've shown that tonight. So anyway, I'm going to end it there. I want to thank everybody for watching. If you have any suggestions about how we should do these deck tech videos in the future, we're kind of trying out a couple of different formats. Blister and I have been working through the different formats. The last one we did was like a really just, these are the cards, here they are. This one was much more of a, hey, here's the cards and let's play the deck. Let me show you exactly how it should play. I actually really like how this one turned out because we got to see like most of the strategies in the deck in a competitive type of format. Casual competitive. I mean, it's not super competitive here on MTG Arena, but you got to see how it played and kind of the choices that you would make while you're playing a deck like this. So that's the Boros Goblins. Let me know down below what you think about it, what changes you would make, and especially what kind of strategies you want us here on Less Than Epic to look at in the future. And if you like this video, y'all, give us a thumbs up, give us a subscribe. We really appreciate it. We're still a growing channel here. We're trying out different types of content. And if you like this stuff, it really does help us out if you let us know down below. Anyway, this is Radical Edward for Less Than Epic, signing out.